Okay, so I'll summarize the lessons from yesterday. One, we started by learning who am I as a communicator, and who am I communicating to, that is our audience. What is the desired outcome of my communication? If you send out a message, did it get the desired outcome? But that means you should know it before. And then we learned that every communication requires a plan, and I put plan in capital letters because it takes time to plan. Remember all the time we went through discussing what the message is, what is going to be the desired output. That is the plan. We have actually not gone out to make that communication. And that applies to all forms of communication, even just a talk, even a question. You sit in a meeting and you ask a question. Have you thought about it when you ask this question? What message is it going to give? Is it going to improve the session? Is it not going to improve? So what do I learn from ineffective communication? So we had examples of ineffective communication. It is not all gone when you make an ineffective communication. You need to receive the feedback and use the feedback and do it again until you get effective. Because one ineffective communication does not mean that you'll forever be effective. But if you don't learn from that, then you won't make good communication. Okay, so this is just to illustrate that communication itself can be complicated, because if you speak, let out a word, or ask a question, any form of communication that you're making, you have to know that you're speaking to 6 people. One is who you think you are. Because many of us yesterday came thinking, having a certain thinking about ourselves. When we got here, we had a different understanding of who we are. So as you speak, you must know who you are. Who do you think the other person is? So we came here and we didn't know the different personalities of the people we are working with when we were building the straw. Had we known, maybe we would distribute the roles better so that we get that output. Then who do you think the other person thinks you are? Because there's what you think you are, but people have different perspectives of who you are. If they know you are a very positive person, can you deliver a negative message to them? How do you then deliver a positive message to them? All those, what they think about you also determines how you communicate to them. So who the other person thinks he or she is. So if you come to communicate to people, do they know who they are? If they know who they are, it's probably going to determine how they receive your message. But you don't know. However, you have to communicate to them. So as you're thinking of the audience, these are things you have to think about. Who the other person thinks you are. What image they have of you to determine how they receive your message and how you package it to be received. Who the other person thinks you think she is or he is. So if you realize that you need to put these 6 perspectives in a message before you deliver it, and it will be whichever type of message, even if it's a phone call, an email, a group discussion, all these things need to be put into perspective because they contribute to the challenges, they contribute to the movement of your message from one group to another audience. So we also have to think about the impact of our communication. From what we saw yesterday, we got to know what impact we can make. Some can be really damaging unintentionally. Some can be positive, unintentional or intentionally. But what we want is to have an intentional outcome. Whether it's good or bad, it should be intentional. If you want to deliver bad news, it has to be intentional. But don't go out to deliver good news and then end up with the result of bad news. Okay? So you can't, because you can't really take back something once it is said. So the effect is already ineffective. And there's this Russian proverb which says, once a word goes out of your mouth, you can never swallow it again. You have already created an impression. You may go back and say, because of this and this, if it's in the press, you send an editorial to break the other impression. But it's even unlikely that the person who read the paper yesterday will go back and read the correction you made today. So you rather spend more time planning, getting reviews and comments for you to reach the audience you want to reach. And this is what Nelson Mandela said: a good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. But when you add to that a literate tongue or pen, then you have something very special. So I believe that during this session, we are going to make our pens more literate, our tongues more literate, so that we become those special people that we need to be. Okay?